Modification in 334 years old Newton's third law of motion. According to Newton's third law of motion, to every action there is always equal and opposite reaction. Thus, action and reaction are universally equal without exception. Newton has given this law in his book The Principia, published in 1686. The law is 334 years old and is regarded as perfectly true by 7.8 billion people of the world. Even then, this fundamental law has been theoretically modified. The reason for theoretical modification is that the law neglects the shape of body. For example, body may be sphere, semi-sphere, umbrella shaped, triangle, cone, flat or irregular shaped. Till date, scientists have not conducted experiments pertaining to shape without experiments on the basis of previously established applications. Newly suggested shape-based experiments have never been quantitatively conducted. What these are originated on genuine applications of Newton's third law of motion. It must be noted that even these shape-based experiments are successful, then modification will be applicable on the specific topic or area only. This modification would have no effect on the established status of the law where it is found correct and taught over centuries. Many scientists of the world have suggested that these original experiments must be conducted. Scientific world regard these experiments original, logical and scientific. The experiments would be an addition in understanding of the law. Newton's third law has been theoretically modified, anticipating the positive outcome of new shape-based experiments. For final confirmation of the theoretical modification of the law, some shape-based experiments need to be conducted. During 2018, during presentation in Conference of American Association of Physics Teachers, Washington, D.C., USA, one of the scientists said that, Ajay, if you could prove the modification of Newton's third law of motion experimentally, then it would mean Nobel Prize for India. These experiments are expected to cost rupees 10 to 12 lakhs only. I am requesting Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji to provide me laboratory facilities for such significant experiments. If someone doubts the validity of my research work, then I am ready for video recorded seminar at any scientific forum. I have reports and comments of the scientists for proof. NASA scientists proved Newton's third law of motion incorrect in first stage experiments. The scientists are confirming breakdown of the law in a different way also. Let us understand the research of scientists of NASA's Houston-based Eagle Works Laboratory of Johnson Space Center in Texas, USA. Newton's law has been found completely wrong in first stage experiments. These experiments were conducted in sophisticated equipment called EM-Derive and are related to launching of satellites. The research paper of the NASA scientists is published in Journal of Propulsion and Power in 2017. In spite of criticizing the experiments on large scale, the critics have not been able to prove experiments incorrect till date. The investigations are on. Experiments regarding shape of bodies would prove Newton's third law of motion inadequate. Why Newton's fundamental law of motion must be modified? The clear answer to this question is that it neglects the shape of body. Let we have bodies of rubber of mass 1 kilogram. These bodies of rubber may have different shapes. For example, sphere, semi-sphere, umbrella shaped, triangle, cone, flat, irregular shape, etc. When bodies of same mass 1 kilogram of different shapes fall on the earth, then all bodies irrespective of shape experience the same gravitational force, mass multiplied by acceleration due to gravity equal to 9.8 Newton. Thus, action of all bodies is 9.8 Newton, as Newton defined action as force, which is force of gravity mg in this case. When bodies strike the floor, then action and reaction occur in equal pairs. All the bodies have action force of gravity or weight 9.8 Newton. Then according to third law of motion, the reaction for all bodies must be 9.8 Newton, that is precisely equal to magnitude of action what opposite in direction. The rubber sphere of mass 1 kilogram may rebound to exactly opposite direction to original height from which it is dropped, that is 1 meter. Thus, for round spherical ball, both action and reaction are 9.8 Newton. We explained that action is equal to minus reaction. Thus, Newton's third law of motion is justified in case of spherical bodies. Here minus sign indicates that the direction of reaction is exactly opposite to that of action. Both bodies of different shapes rebound to height less than 1 meter, but bodies of different shapes rebound to height less than 1 meter. Thus, in this case reaction is less than action, that is 9.8 Newton. Had reaction for bodies of different shapes been equal to 9.8 Newton, then they would have rebounded to exactly in opposite direction to height of 1 meter like spherical ball. Thus, Newton's law fail in this case of bodies of different shapes, that is other than spherical. But such experiments are not discussed in the literature yet at all. Thus, 334 years old law is not completely studied yet regarding the experiments involving shape of bodies. Theoretical modification in Newton's third law of motion based on shape of bodies. According to modified form of the law, in all conditions the action and reaction are not equal but proportional to each other. Thus, equality of action and reaction is not universal. When the sign of proportionality is removed, then coefficient of proportionality comes in equation. This coefficient of proportionality accounts for the shape of body and other characteristics which are neglected by Newton's third law. Mathematically, the value of coefficient can be 1 for round sphere and it would be less than 1 for different shapes of bodies. The exact value of coefficient can be determined experimentally. Like this, according to modified form of law, the action can be less, more or equal to reaction. The modified form of law is complete law, but Newton's third law of motion is its special case. This research is equally important in study of collisions, where shape and other characteristics of bodies are also neglected. Opinion of other scientists. First of all, I have published theoretically modified form of Newton's third law of motion in journal Acta Scientia Indica in year 2000, that is 20 years ago. In 2016, my important paper is published in Canadian Journal of Fundamental Physics known as Physics Essays. What this work got new direction in 2018 when I presented the paper in conference of American Association of Physics Teachers in Washington DC, America. On 22nd August 2018, the president of the association, Professor Gordon P. Ramsey, Loyola University, Chicago, USA, stated in the report that the shape is significant factor but not taken in account by the third law of motion, and experiments suggested by me can prove Newton's third law wrong. In 2019, the scientists and director of National Physical Laboratory of Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, New Delhi, stated in the report that shape is neglected in Newton's third law of motion. So, shape dependent experiments suggested by Ajay Sharma to check Newton's law are original. The report further stated that Sharma should send detailed project of Newton's third law of motion for financial assistance. Earlier, editors of international journals, current science and foundations of physics have also asked experimental observations. 107th Indian Science Congress 2020 held in Bangalore this year published my research on modification of Newton's third law of motion. In the proceedings, request for government, I have passed BSc in 1983 and MSc Physics in 1985 with first divisions. I started my teaching career as lecturer physics in DAV College, Chandigarh, and taught physics as lecturer for years in Himachal Pradesh. Currently, I am working on administrative post of Deputy District Education Officer, Shimla. I have neither laboratory facilities nor PhD degree. Thus, on my own, I cannot submit project for funding to DST and CSIR, where first requirement is availability of laboratory. As I worked hard for 3 decades, so I have innovative research which nobody have. This research will raise the status of tricolor to new heights and will bring moments of rarest pride for 135 crore Indians all over the world. Thus, I humbly request Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, Minister of Science and Technology Dr. Harshvardhan ji, Chief Minister Shri Jairam Thakur ji, MP and Adhyaksh Shri Jagat Prakash Nadda ji, Minister Shri Anurag Thakur ji and Education Minister Shri Suresh Bhardwaj ji for laboratory facilities. Like this, I may confirm the inadequacy of Newton's third law of motion finally. These experiments are expected to cost rupees 10 to 12 lakhs only. On 1st August, during my presentation at conference of American Association of Physics Teachers at Washington DC in USA, one of the American scientists has said that, Ajay, if you could prove inadequacy of Newton's law experimentally, then it would mean Nobel Prize for India. Thank you very much.